The candles went out, the chanting stopped, and the cult members stepped back in fear as a small child's prayer destroyed the ritual meant to take his blood.
Hi guys, welcome back to Tales by Steph. Today's story is about an auntie who joins a cult and betrays her brother's children for wealth. But through prayer, the children are saved and her family is destroyed. Sit back and enjoy the story.
Daniel was a quiet man who minded his business. His wife Rose was known for her kindness and strong faith. She believed deeply in prayer and taught her children that prayer was their first weapon in life. They had 3 children. Mia was the eldest at 11, smart and observant. Lucas was 9, playful and curious. Ethan, the youngest at 7, was gentle, quiet, and deeply prayerful, just like his mother. Every night, Rose made them kneel together, holding hands, praying before sleep. She always said danger does not always shout. Sometimes it smiles. None of them understood those words fully until the night she died. Rose did not fall sick for long. She did not scream. She did not warn anyone. She simply slept and never woke up. By morning, the house had changed forever. Daniel broke down in ways no one had seen before. The children cried until there were no tears left. The house became heavy, like something invisible had settled inside. The only thing that stayed normal was Ethan's prayer. He prayed more than before. He prayed loudly. He prayed quietly. He prayed even when others slept. He believed his mother could still hear him. After the burial, Daniel's only sister Lydia became very present. Lydia was always well-dressed, calm, and polite. She spoke softly and knew how to act caring. People praised her and said she was a good auntie. She hugged the children tightly, cooked for them, and bought them gifts. She told Daniel to rest and heal while she helped with the children. Everyone trusted her because she was family. What no one knew was that Lydia had already made a decision the day Rose was buried. The children trusted her fully, and that trust was exactly what she needed. Lydia had always wanted wealth and comfort. She did not want to struggle again. Years earlier, she had been introduced to a secret group, a cult hidden behind respect, money, and silence. They were not loud people. They were rich and careful. They met at night and spoke softly, but their rules were strict. The most important rule was clear. Strangers did not work. Friends did not work. Only family blood brought lasting wealth. The blood had to trust you. The blood had to obey. Lydia accepted the rule without question. She waited patiently for the right opportunity. When Rose died, that opportunity arrived. Lydia suggested that the children should stay with her sometimes so Daniel could focus on rebuilding his life. Daniel agreed without doubt. He trusted his sister completely. The children were excited to stay with their auntie. They loved her. They felt safe around her. The first night they slept in Lydia's house, she stood quietly by their door, watching them. Mia slept peacefully. Lucas turned in his sleep. Ethan knelt beside the bed and prayed the same prayer his mother taught him. He prayed for protection, for forgiveness, and for God to watch over them. Lydia listened from the doorway, her chest tightening. Prayer was dangerous. Prayer destroyed preparation. As weeks passed, Lydia's life began to change. Money started coming slowly, then faster. She bought better clothes and a better car. People said she was blessed. They did not know she was attending secret meetings at night, wearing white clothes, standing before candles, repeating chants that made her feel cold inside. The cult leader warned her clearly that the ritual required full submission. No fear, no prayer. Lydia promised she would handle it. But every time the children stayed with her, Ethan prayed loudly and often. Lydia warned him gently at first. She told him prayer was not needed all the time. Ethan listened respectfully but did not stop. He said his mother told him never to stop praying, especially when he felt afraid. One night, Lydia prepared the children for the first serious ritual. She cooked special food and told them it was a family dinner. The cult had instructed her carefully. The children must eat the food so the connection could be complete. Mia and Lucas ate happily. Ethan refused. He said his stomach felt tight and that he wanted to pray first. Lydia forced a smile and told him he could pray later. That night at the cult house, everything went wrong. Candles refused to stay lit. Chants broke in the middle. The air turned cold. The leader stopped the ritual immediately and asked who had prayed. Lydia knew without being told. Fear entered her heart for the first time. That same night, Ethan woke up screaming. He said he saw his mother standing at the foot of the bed, crying. Rose warned him that danger was near and that he must never stop praying, no matter who became angry. Lydia stood in the hallway listening, her hands shaking. The next morning, the cult sent her a message. It was short and clear. Fix it. Lydia understood the meaning. The cult was angry, and angry cults did not forgive failure. From that moment, Lydia's love changed. She began to shout at Ethan whenever he prayed. She told him his prayers were ruining her life. Ethan cried but did not stop. The more he prayed, the more things failed for Lydia. Money delayed. Meetings collapsed. The cult reminded her of the rule again. Family blood must obey. Family blood must submit. If one child rejected the ritual, the balance would break. And when balance broke, the giver became the sacrifice. One night, Lydia stood alone in her room staring at her reflection. She remembered the cult leader's words clearly. If the last child refused, she would pay the price herself. She looked at the children sleeping peacefully in her house, trusting her completely, calling her aunty with love. Lydia realized she had gone too far to turn back. The ritual had rejected the last child, and now the cult was watching her closely. After the ritual failed, Lydia did not sleep well again. She smiled during the day, spoke kindly to neighbors, and acted like nothing was wrong, but at night her body shook with fear. The cult had gone silent, and silence from them was worse than shouting. Lydia knew their rule clearly. Failure was not forgiven. Delay was not tolerated. Family blood was either given fully or taken forcefully. She watched the children closely now, especially Ethan. His prayers were no longer innocent words to her. They were weapons, and weapons had to be disarmed. Daniel noticed changes but did not understand them. Lydia began insisting that the children stay with her more often. She said they were safer with her. She said she had more space and better care. Daniel was tired and broken inside, and he trusted his sister. He did not see the anger hidden behind her smiles, or how her eyes followed Ethan whenever he whispered prayers under his breath. The children continued to trust their auntie because she fed them well, bought them gifts and hugged them often. Trust made the danger deeper. The cult finally sent another message. This one was longer. It reminded Lydia of the oath she took and the price she agreed to pay. They told her the ritual would be repeated, and this time failure would not be accepted. They warned her that the prayerful child was blocking the blood path and that she must silence him, one way or another. Lydia's hands shook as she read the message. She knew the cult did not speak empty words. They were already watching her movements. That evening, Lydia confronted Ethan. She told him firmly that he must stop praying in her house. She said prayer was disturbing the peace. Ethan looked at her with confused eyes and told her his mother said prayer keeps evil away. Lydia slapped the table in anger. The sound made the other children jump. Ethan froze, tears filling his eyes. But that night, he still prayed quietly under his blanket. He prayed harder than before. He prayed because fear was now living with them. That night, Ethan dreamt again. He saw his mother standing in a dark place holding a candle that refused to go out. She told him the woman they trusted was not safe and that blood was being called from their family. She told him never to stop praying no matter what happened, even if he was shouted at, even if he was beaten, even if he was taken somewhere he did not understand. Ethan woke up shaking, whispering prayers until morning. The second ritual night arrived faster than Lydia expected. She prepared carefully. She followed every instruction. She cooked the food again and watched closely as Mia and Lucas ate without fear. Ethan refused again. Lydia forced him this time, holding his mouth and pushing the food in. Ethan cried and prayed loudly, calling his mother's name and calling God. Lydia felt fear rise in her chest, but she dragged the children to the cult house anyway, believing force would work where love failed. Inside the cult house, the air felt wrong from the beginning. Candles wavered violently. The chanting broke again. The ground felt cold under their feet. The leader's face changed. He shouted at Lydia, accusing her of weakness. He said the child was protected by something stronger than their ritual. The cult members stepped back from Ethan like he carried fire. Lydia begged them to continue, promising obedience. But the ritual collapsed completely. The leader declared that the blood had rejected them. That declaration sealed Lydia's fate. The cult turned their anger toward her. They told her the price would now be collected differently. If the child could not be used, then Lydia herself would carry the debt. They warned her that blood would still be taken, and the balance would be restored whether she liked it or not. Lydia left the cult house shaking, holding the children tightly, knowing she had lost control of everything. From that night, strange things began happening. Lydia's money stopped flowing. Her car broke down. Her business failed suddenly. She began having nightmares of hands pulling her into darkness. At the same time, the children began seeing shadows in the house. Mia heard whispers at night. Lucas woke up with scratches on his arms. Ethan prayed louder than ever, refusing to be silenced. His prayers filled the house, and the shadows stayed away whenever he prayed. Lydia grew desperate. She shouted more. She threatened Ethan. She begged him to stop praying. She told him he was destroying her life. Ethan cried but did not stop. He told her God was stronger than any fear. That sentence made Lydia scream. She realized she had angered something bigger than the cult, and now both sides were closing in on her. One night, Lydia received a final message from the cult. They told her to prepare herself. The debt would be collected soon. She looked at the children sleeping peacefully and felt true fear for the first time. She understood too late that trust, once broken, could not protect her anymore. The ritual had rejected the last child, and now the punishment was coming for the one who offered the blood. The house became quiet again. Too quiet. And Lydia knew silence had returned, not because peace had come, but because something was already on its way. She locked the doors and shouted at the children to stay in one room. The children huddled together, confused and scared. Ethan knelt immediately and began to pray loudly. His prayer filled the room, steady and strong even though his voice trembled. He prayed for protection, for forgiveness, and for deliverance. Lydia screamed at him to stop. She threatened him. She slapped the wall. She said his prayers were destroying her life. Ethan looked up at her with tears in his eyes and said softly that prayer was the only thing his mother left him. That sentence broke something inside Lydia. The house suddenly went dark. Not like power failure. This darkness felt heavy. Cold air moved through the rooms even though the windows were shut. Mia screamed. Lucas held her tightly. Ethan continued praying, his voice louder now. Lydia backed away slowly, realizing the cult had arrived not in flesh but in presence. Shadows moved across the walls. Whispering voices filled the house, calling Lydia's name. They accused her of failure. They accused her of weakness. They told her the blood was no longer needed from the children because the prayer had sealed them. The cult demanded payment. Lydia fell to her knees, crying and begging. She promised to fix everything. She promised obedience. But the voices told her it was too late. The family blood had rejected the ritual. The prayer had broken the chain. The debt had shifted. Lydia felt hands on her shoulders that no one else could see. The children watched in fear as their aunty screamed and pleaded with things they could not see. Ethan prayed harder, calling God's name over and over again. Every time he spoke, the shadows pulled back slightly. like they were afraid. Suddenly there was silence. Deep silence. Daniel arrived that night. He did not come because Lydia called him. He came because his heart would not rest. Something kept pushing him out of his house. Something kept telling him his children were not safe. When he stepped into Lydia's living room and saw his children shaking, clinging to each other, and heard Ethan praying loudly with tears running down his face, Daniel knew something was terribly wrong. He looked at Lydia and did not see his sister anymore. He saw fear, guilt, and madness sitting on her face like a mask she could no longer remove. When Lydia finally collapsed, screaming about blood, rules, debt, and failure, Daniel understood enough. He did not need full details. He did not need explanations. A father knows when his children have been placed in danger. He gathered his children immediately and held them tightly, his heart breaking with anger and pain. Ethan told him everything he could remember: the shouting, the forced food, the strange house, the prayers that made Lydia angry. Daniel listened quietly, but his silence was heavy. It was the silence of a man whose trust had been murdered. Lydia was taken away later, her mind broken by fear and guilt. When she came back days later, calmer but empty inside, she sent for Daniel. She cried and begged. She said she made a mistake. She said she only wanted wealth. She said she never meant to harm the children. Daniel stood in front of her and listened without interrupting. When she finished, he looked at her with eyes that held no anger, only deep disappointment. "You were supposed to protect my children," he said quietly. "You were their aunty. You were my sister." Lydia fell to her knees, begging him to forgive her. Daniel shook his head slowly. "Some things cannot be forgiven," he said. "You didn't fail as a sister. You failed as family." He turned and walked away. That was the last time Daniel spoke to Lydia. He cut her out of his life completely. He never visited her. He never answered her calls. He never mentioned her name again in his house. The children were warned never to go near her. Lydia lost everything she gained. Her money disappeared. Her respect disappeared. And worst of all, her family disappeared. The cult had failed, but her punishment remained. The children grew up knowing one truth clearly: prayer saved them, but betrayal changed their family forever. Lydia was alive, but she was alone, and in the end, that loneliness was heavier than any prison.
Morals of the story: greed can make people hurt those they love the most, but evil never wins where prayer and truth stand strong. No wealth is worth the blood of family, and betrayal always returns to punish the betrayer. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, like, and comment for more interesting stories. Bye-bye.